And we're ever so close now to laying cards out for a reading. We've already talked about each of the 52 cards, and we're memorizing key words for those cards. We've talked about color, suit, and number, the all-important building blocks for our card reading practice. So we have just a few really important little items before we jump right in to a full-blown reading. And this video covers the material pages 103 through 112 in the Playing Card Oracles, a little chapter titled, But Before You Lay Out the Cards. There's only one thing, one physical object that you need in your readings. Only one thing, and that's your card deck. Card readers travel light, and because it's the only object we need, it becomes extremely important. And here you see I'm taking my cards out of a little special pouch, and I don't recommend doing this just because everyone else does it. I certainly don't do it for that reason. Keeping your deck in a special pouch is an act of intention. My intention with my deck is that it is used for extraordinary purposes. It's not for playing card games anymore. It's for communication with unseen intelligences. I'm asking something extraordinary of my cards, and so I take that intention and I act it out by putting my cards into a special place of honor when I'm finished with them. This also signals to me that the reading is finished. It's like putting your cards to bed, letting them rest in their special home between readings. And when the deck comes out, I know something special is happening. So it's part of making intention real, the way that you treat your deck, So think about that in regard to your cards. Your space is the next preparation point. And you don't need a special space. You can make any space special and inviting. I use my kitchen table, and I simply create something that's clear of clutter, right? Because I want my mind to be free of clutter. And I want it to be a place where I would invite a guest, because I'm inviting these intelligences, right, that may have their being within other dimensions. I'm inviting divine intelligence into the reading, like a guest. So I make sure the pizza crumbs are all wiped off. I put a nice little cloth on the table, and I clear anything away that's not related to the reading. Everything else is optional. And so this is my own table today, the day that I took this photo. My space looks different every time I set it up. I don't follow hard and fast rules. I let myself be a little impulsive, just like it doesn't look the same every time I have a guest come over, right? I often like to have a candle, but not every time. And I like a candle because it symbolizes my intention for the reading, which is to cut through the haze or the fog surrounding any issues, like a light in the dark. To me, it symbolizes truth. And so I include it often. I like this photo of my dad here. He's the creator of this system of reading cards. He loved card reading, loved talking about cards, and so I invite him. You know, he's passed away now, but I invite him to participate because I think he would enjoy that, and I think it adds something to the reading. And these are some crystals I bring in, and they feel nice to me, and I like them. And to me, they have properties that I like. They help to amplify my intention oftentimes, or I feel that they do. A lot of times I'll put them on top of the cards before the reading takes place. So this is just me, and you should feel free to create your own space. But when the reading's finished, all of this comes up, goes back in the drawer, and it's the kitchen table again, and no one would know anything ever happened there except the pizza crumbs have been cleaned off. Nice little prairie dog chirping in the background there. I don't know if you can hear that. The next subsection in this chapter is prayer. A word I actually prefer is invocation. It's a little more neutral. And what I'm really doing with this part of the reading is just calling out to the intelligences that I know are already present, but I'm just getting their attention, asking them to participate, inviting them. And I've got a couple of examples of different prayers or invocations there in the playing card oracles. But again, it's about making verbal my intention for the reading. And I don't always say a prayer out loud or an invocation out loud in a reading. It's something that I know inside of myself. And sometimes I feel like sharing that with the client, and sometimes I don't. So I don't have a lot of hard and fast rules. Connecting is an important topic. This is an illustration from the Alchemy Edition playing card oracle deck that my father created for the Two of Clubs. And the Two of Clubs in both playing card oracle decks communicate the same kind of message. It's a communion card. It's about connecting on a level that's invisible, right? Clubs is the suit that represents the invisible realm of air. And I love the image of the solitary figure. What an interesting depiction of the concept for connecting. And this figure is going inside herself to connect with a quiet space in order to connect with something outside herself, something greater. And I love that. And I think that's a wonderful representation of what we do in a reading as we connect to our clients. Or even if we're just playing with the cards by ourselves, it's important to find that inner silence so we can receive something that's outside of ourselves. Asking the question, critical part of preparation for a reading. Cards are so much more helpful if you can pose a question, especially if you're with someone else. It's a really good idea to have a question to make the most use of your time. And a better worded question will get you better results than a poorly worded question. And people are really good at poorly worded questions. And so you need to be educated in this. And often it's helpful to help the client reword their question so that the oracles will respond in an optimal way. So one of the big issues I see commonly with questions is people will glob multiple questions or cram multiple questions into what sounds like one rambling question. And it's your job as the reader to help them out. Otherwise, if you lay the cards out in response to a question like that, you don't know what the cards are relating to, which aspect of the question. It's too much information. And you want to get to what the client is actually concerned about. People hide their real questions within these rambling scenarios. So it's fun to find what the client really is concerned about, and it's helpful to the client. So make it as simple as possible, and you can then follow from whatever response you get from the cards into the next concern for the clients. Lots of people come with, several concerns, and you can address them one at a time. General questions are another big thing that you'll see. This can be for different reasons. Sometimes people are a little guarded. They don't want to give away too much. So sometimes general questions give way to more specific questions once the reading gets underway and the cards spark things in the client. You can follow those general questions with more specific questions. Beating around the bush questions, similar to general questions, but a little different. Often people are intimidated by asking their real question. And you'll know this because the question will either feel really super heady, like mental, rather than a question that's coming from their gut, or their heart. Or the question will just seem uninteresting. Like, really? Why would the person actually be asking that question? It doesn't feel like the person's even that interested in their question. So it's good to, just pry a little and make sure that you get the questions that are actually important to the client, and the client will be grateful. And the final consideration in our preparations is the shuffle. Everyone shuffles a little differently. I've created a little flip book with the photos on the left side of the screen there of my shuffle. I have sort of a weird sideways shuffle. I don't poker shuffle. I don't do the typical card game shuffle. And how you shuffle is not as important as what's going on inside of you when you shuffle. Similar to that slide we saw a couple slides back of the solitary figure there, that's the Two of Clubs illustration. It's important to create an opening for intelligences other than your own to come into the reading. So if you have your usual busy banter going on inside your head, or you're just chatting with the client about their life or something, or your life, you're not creating that opening. So I like to either concentrate on the question that was asked or concentrate on my own breath, something that gets my usual flow of mental dialogue, out of the way. And so that's that. And then you're ready to lay your cards out.